So I just want to make sure that everyone knows that you should put your computer on mute so that we don't hear you during the presentation. So if you move your cursor to the bottom left corner of your screen, you can just turn your microphone off, and that would really help us during the presentation. And also, if you have any questions at all during the presentation, you can enter that into the chat box. You just move your mouse to the bottom and then select the chat function and then type your question in there. And then at certain points during the presentation, we will stop and answer those questions for you guys. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, David. Yes, so thank you, David. And I wanted to, before I introduce our presenter, you know, Aljoya is a premier retirement community on Mercer Island. And we talked earlier about the events that we have and the beautiful garden and beautiful residents that we have here. But really, we're fortunate to have Marla, our executive director, to give this presentation. Just a little bit about her is that she's been doing this retirement living for 28 years and with Era Living, and she opened up Aljoya Mercer Island amongst many other communities. And what we are fortunate to have is that she really is keeping everyone safe in the community here, the residents, the staff, the visitors. She's running around the hallways doing everything, taking care to make sure we have a safe lifestyle for all of us. And I think that's the biggest point that we can focus on right now, is that she really cares about all of us, whoever she comes in contact. So she'll tell you all about our community, but on a personal level, I'm so honored, as David and I are, and our community and our staff, to have Marla as our executive director. So without further ado, please, Marla, take over, and we look forward to listening to your presentation. I'm going to take my video off, but you go ahead. I'm here though.
Okay. Thank you so much, Larry. But let me just add, that was very nice what you said, but I have to tell you that the staff here is really who's helping keep everyone safe. It's been an amazing time, and I will talk a little bit more about how things are going with COVID currently. Because I know we've had a lot of questions come in about that as we're doing tours and talking to people on the phone. But the staff here has been certainly amazing as well, working hard to keep everyone safe. So let's go ahead and start our presentation. All right, so as we said, there's a little bit of how are things going during this time of COVID. And we are continuing to provide service, and really our residents have been very generous with their compliments. We are doing some in-person activities now with precautions, of course. All of our residents and all of our staff are always masked during any contact with each other in the community. And we're always thinking about planning and how we do that for the safety and comfort of our residents. So we're going to show you first a short video of some of our residents talking about their quality of life here at Aljoya.
Well, what prompted me to move to Aljoya was getting out of my house of 60 years. It was going to go, or I was going to go, so I decided to go. And Aljoya for me was the perfect choice, because I had lived on the island for 60 years and I liked it and I wanted to stay. And I love the location of Aljoya. It's right in the heart of everything that I found important. Walking distance to just about everything, and restaurants and grocery stores, post doctors, dentists, everything, transportation. So, and I like the business model that Aljoya presented.
Years ago, my family lived on Mercer Island, so I always considered it family community. My husband died unexpectedly just about 7 years ago, and I discovered I did not like living alone, even though I was in a lovely condo in downtown Bellevue. But I just felt I needed to be around people. And in my own particular situation, I have a special needs adult son. And he had always worked on Mercer Island at Albertsons. And after my husband died, I decided he needed to be living in residence on Mercer Island to make life easier for him and cut out the commuting, etc. So I started looking at Mercer Island, and I looked at Aljoya, and I'm thinking it is the perfect community, not too large, so you really get to know everybody that lives here.
You know, my family was loving and all that sort of stuff, and I had a really nice childhood, but I have not been this pampered since I was a little kid.
What about you?
This has been a change of life because up until last July, we actually lived within our income. And we were on Social Security. So we've lived rather frugally for a lot of years. And so this is like being in a resort hotel and just having everything taken care of. We just have never had anything like that before, except when we've been on vacation or on a cruise ship or something like that. We've been for short periods of time. But this is like all the time.
Hello, I hope you enjoyed hearing from some of our residents. We do have another short clip later for you as well. So if I go on to telling you a little bit more, one of the questions that came in, so I'd like to talk about that since it's up here on the screen, is what kind of system do you have for testing residents and how long does it take for results? So we are doing broad-based testing for our residents and staff. We are doing it about every 6 weeks, where we do all staff, all residents. And then we also are doing testing if residents go away and they are gone overnight and they have exposed themselves to other people out and about in the community, family members they don't generally see, we can immediately test them upon return to the community. And as far as who or how long does it take, we have been getting the results back within 24 to 48 hours. We have a wonderful private lab that we're working with, and they have been fabulous at getting those results back to us. So when we do have to quarantine a resident, if they've been out and about for a week visiting, say, Idaho or Oregon, or even, up into the islands, it's usually only a 2 to 3 day quarantine until we get the test results back for them. The other thing we get questions about is how are we screening? We are doing everyone who enters the building, all staff and all vendors get screened every day with questions about COVID. I'm sure many of you have answered those questions either at the doctor's or other places of business. So we are asking the questions and then we are taking everyone's temperature. Everyone must wear a mask, as I said. We've put some social distancing guides actually on our floor that help our residents understand if they're waiting, say to pick up their food at Lily's, our restaurant, they are socially distancing correctly. And then the other nice thing for our residents, that they very much appreciated is we are making calls to all of our residents every day to see how they're feeling and to ask if they have any symptoms that may be virus related. And that's been a nice check-in for our residents. So if I talk about the accommodations also that we're doing, we are currently doing meal delivery or meal pickup from our restaurant. So our restaurant hasn't opened yet to our residents, but we do have good news coming from the governor, we believe today. We expect to get our restaurant open in the next week or two as we move into phase 2 for senior living. But we are continuing to run the great meals out of Lily's, and we are free delivering to people's apartments. You also see a picture on there of myself and another one of our staff, because 3 times a week we are doing grocery shopping for residents, because many residents would like not to expose themselves out and about in the regular community. We have a great in-house TV channel, and we have been Zooming lectures, music, bingo, what else? Book readings, all kinds of TED Talks from me, all kinds of events that normally would be happening in our theater or conference room. We have still continued to have and Zoom them to people in-house in our resident in-house movie or TV channel. We're doing package deliveries, of course, rather than letting anyone come in and deliver. And we did purchase some iPads that we loan out to residents, and then staff goes and helps them set up a Zoom meeting with family or friends. So that tells you a little bit about the accommodations we're making currently. We are open for tours, so we'd love you to call and book something with Larry or David. Our salon is opening, and we are planning some in-house marketing events soon as we can start letting visitors into the building. But we can still do tours for you, so please give us a call. So let me talk a little bit now about my usual Discover presentation. And I start with retirement living options, because you have quite a few. You can choose to stay in your own home. You could choose to move to what we call a month-to-month model of retirement living. There is also the traditional continuing care retirement community, which you will hear bantered about as CCRC model. And then there's the Aljoya model. We put ourselves separately because we are unique in the industry. We have blended the month-to-month model and the traditional continuing care model. And the way we've done that is in a few different aspects, some of which we do at all of our Era Living retirement communities. We are an Era Living community, so we have 8 in the local area. And the 2 Aljoyas are our model of a CCRC. So one of the things that we do in our communities is that everyone that moves in chooses the apartment of their choice, and they may move in as independent, but if and when they need assistance, we just relicense the apartment, so there's no reason to move. And the reason we fit into more the CCRC model is that we do have an entrance fee for each apartment. And the entrance fee is based upon how large the apartment is, what the amenities are. So the entrance fees definitely are based upon the differences in each apartment. But a little bit about your different options. I talk to people all the time who say, well, you know, I can fix my house up. I'm just going to stay in my own home. And that is an option always for everyone. But there are some drawbacks to that I like to point out. The first of which is if and when you might need some help, you are then going to be responsible, or your family responsible, for hiring the staff that you would need to come in and do some activities of daily living, like bathing or dressing or helping you with your medications. And then what happens if there's a snowstorm, or there's a pandemic and children all of a sudden aren't going to school, who is then providing that care for you, and how do you or your family have to adjust over and over again? Where if you move to any retirement community, not just us, you would have in-house staff so that when things come up, as they always do with staff, there are other staff to step in, so you're never left without the care that you need. And in the middle of a huge snowstorm, we still have staff here. We are still providing meals. We are still providing housekeeping. Everything is going along as normal because we make sure that we're able to staff for our residents. But the biggest reason I tell people you should consider moving to any retirement choice other than staying in your own home is the socialization aspect. When you move to a retirement community, you have the opportunity to socialize with people that have likes and dislikes like you. They have interests that you can share. You have someone to talk to during the day. And I must say that if you listen to our residents, they are happy, and the new residents that have moved in too during COVID, they're happy they've done it now because in their own home, they felt very isolated. And here we have residents moving around, we have staff moving around, and so you're getting to see people and have conversations with people that doesn't happen if you stay in your own home. And all of the research shows that people actually thrive better when they are in social settings, even right down to when you're eating your meal, you actually take in more nutrients when you're in a social setting, talking with people and not sitting by yourself in front of a TV. And it's one of the reasons people live longer when they move to a retirement community, because they get exercise, they get socialization, they get good meals provided, and a lot of the stress goes away. So I highly encourage you, choose somewhere to move, even if it's not Aljoya. But let me try and sell you a little bit on why it should be Aljoya. So there's some great reasons financially to choose more of a continuing care model that has an entrance fee, like we do. I'll talk about this a little bit further in, but I can tell you that when you move to Aljoya versus one of our own in-house month-to-month, our Era Living month-to-month communities, you actually will pay less monthly per square footage. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that as we come up to those slides. There's also a benefit on your taxes if you pay an entrance fee. So I'll get into all of that more on the financial end of it later in my presentation. But why should you choose us then over regular CCRC, that traditional model? Seattle has many traditional CCRCs. Many of you have gone out and researched and done some visiting at other continuing care retirement communities. So why choose Aljoya? So I want to talk a little bit about this next slide. So the great thing that you see, as I mentioned with Aljoya, is that you never need to move in order to get help. If you move to a traditional CCRC with an entrance fee, you will choose the apartment that you really liked. But if and when you do need some assistance, they will have you will be required to actually up and move from the apartment you chose to an assisted living wing or building that is completely separate from where your friends and you have been living. It generally comes with its own dining room, with its own activities. So the people that you got to know and that you really enjoyed being around you're now separated from. And that's the biggest difference between us and that traditional care model. When you move into Aljoya, if we bring you assisted living to your apartment, it's assisted and independent, all mixed. Everyone shares the same Lily's restaurant. Everyone shares the same activities. No one is separated from their friends. And there's no stigma about having to move because, oh my gosh, I need a little help now with bathing or dressing. And again, same thing, you won't need to move to a skilled nursing bed. You can go out if you need a quick help in a nursing center, like for a broken hip and you want some extensive physical therapy. But then you come right back to your independent or assisted living apartment here, and we bring in the staff that you need under Medicare, who would be able to do your occupational therapy, your physical therapy, speech therapy. All can be done in the privacy of your own apartment. So it's really nice to know that your apartment that you choose is often the apartment that you stay in until end of life. That's our goal. No reason to actually move, and we actually do right up to and through hospice care. So you see the little Aljoya person on the left. They are very happy because they're not having to downsize if they don't want to. They are able to stay in the apartment that they chose. So they can be independent, assisted, and get skilled nursing services right into your own apartment. It has made our residents very happy that they chose the Aljoya model over other traditional care models. So let me talk a little bit about that. I talked about how the care is delivered to your apartment home, but I want to talk a little also about you only pay for the care if and when you need it. No one is subsidizing their neighbor. In many continuing care retirement communities, it is very difficult to run a nursing care center profitably. So the independent and assisted people are actually helping support that nursing care center. At Aljoya, because everyone gets the care into their apartments, there is no subsidizing your neighbor if your neighbor needs more care than you do. For instance, if I like a shower 3 times a week and it takes 10 minutes, and my neighbor likes a shower every day and it takes a half hour, my neighbor is going to pay more for their showers than I would. So everyone basically is just paying for the time it takes to do the task under the assisted living care model and not subsidizing anyone else. The assisted living services come with many, you'll see here, many services that can be picked up. And you can start with just one. You may just want a little help with your medication monitoring, or you may like bathing and dressing and some help with escort services to and from events. But you're only paying for the service that you use. We have many lovely amenities. I talked about Lily's, our restaurant. We do our own in-house chef with menus changed out seasonally. The nice thing about that is that every community, every Era Living community has their own chef, their own in-house staff, and we cater those menus to the requests of the residents. So here at Aljoya, our group really likes fish. They love fresh fish. We always have wild salmon on the menu, and then we always have another fish choice as well. There's another Era Living community where they're not fish eaters, and you'll see a lot more meatloaf, but that's what the residents like, so that's what the menus reflect. It's a nice thing about knowing if you come to an Era Living community, we really are not cookie cutters. We tailor everything within that community to the residents who are actually living there. We have lovely concierge services at reception, and the reception is 24 hours a day, so there is always someone awake that can be spoken to, that can be put in touch with. Family members can call if they have questions, because someone is always going to answer that phone 24 hours a day. We have beautiful art for those of you that have been here, and we do art galas twice a year. We are actually going to do one in October, but it will be a virtual art gala. And we're excited to show the new art that'll go up on the wall via Zoom to many of our depositors and prospects and residents. So we have a lovely garden courtyard, which some of you have seen, and I hope to get more of you here. We have an in-house movie theater, arts and crafts studio, all the things you would normally see in a retirement community. But one of the additions we have is that we have a business center just for residents. So there are extra computers there, a printer, a fax machine. So our residents don't have to wait or go somewhere to have copies made or wait for staff to help because they have their own business office as well. We have a lovely pool. We do enhanced fitness and swim classes. We also do free personal transportation Monday through Friday. If you need to drive to the doctors or you want to be dropped at a club for lunch, it's a personal Uber. We will drop you and then we will pick you back up when you call us and you're ready to come back home. We do have a massage therapist that comes in. We have weekly housekeeping and linen service and maintenance services, which are included in your monthly fee. And we have that wellness center I spoke about that's staffed for our assisted living residents. And it's also staffed so that independent residents can stop by, they can have their blood pressure checked, they can have their weight monitored, they can have blood draws. We have a group that comes in that will do a blood draw for someone's doctor if it's been ordered. We have great active aging programs. We even have a dental hygienist who comes here and a UW pharmacy consultant. And all of that is provided in our wellness center so that residents don't need to go out of the community if they don't wish to. Oh, I forgot. We have another video where you get to learn a little bit more from our residents. So I hope you enjoy this, and then I will be back.
I have to tell you, it is such a comfort to live here, have so much enrichment in my life from the other residents and the staff who basically support me and just enrich my life by all the activities.
My best experience of living here are the people. The community is wonderful, and our opportunity to meet everybody in the dining room when the dining room is open is such an advantage. You actually do get to meet almost everyone in that dining room, and everybody is so welcoming. So that is what I've always said is the best part of living at Aljoya.
Right now we're in this semi-lockdown and we're missing each other, but Aljoya is taking such good care of us, and we are all healthy. We've had several COVID tests. They've come back negative. We wear our masks when we go out of our apartments. They are providing us with entertainment and brain fitness classes and exercises. There's our in-house TV, there are exercise programs throughout the day, documentaries, music events, just everything to keep us stimulated and healthy. We have the wellness team that's always looking out for us. They call us every single day to see how we're feeling. Lily's continues to provide all of our meals. All we have to do is call them. They will deliver a meal to us. or we can go pick it up. It's all prepackaged. It's just the safest place, the healthiest place, the most enriching place I could imagine living.
Personally, for me, it hasn't been a huge problem for me. Yes, there have been certain restrictions that I chafed at, I just assumed they weren't around, but then we all had to abide by it. But we managed to always find what we could do and not worry about what we couldn't do. And so, and also, we've been so well taken care of by the staff and everybody. And Marla and the rest of the staff here were way ahead of the governor in setting up all the provisions. She had the place, all of the proper rules and regulations were that she set up were light years ahead of what the governor had told us to do. And it's been, under the circle of the food, the activities, and the maintenance have been great.
So I hope that helped answer some of those COVID questions that many of you have been sending in to us. I really want to encourage you to take the opportunity to come and visit us. I'm going to answer a few more questions here. What does it cost to live at Aljoya? So as I mentioned, we do have an entrance fee for each apartment home and a monthly fee. Those entrance fees range between $349,000 and a little over $1 million. But the size of our apartments also ranges from about 727 square feet to our largest apartments, which are a little over 2,000 square feet. And then we have everything in between. There are 800, 900, 1,200, 1,600 square feet apartment. We have a little bit of everything because we have 114 apartments with 42 different floor plans. So we like to tell people we have something for everyone. And currently we have some lovely apartments available that we would like to show you. So our monthly fees range between $3,000 and $8,000, depending on the size of the apartment. The nice thing about the monthly fee is that if you choose an 800 square foot apartment anywhere in the building, the monthly fee is the same. The monthly fee is only based on square footage. The entrance fee is where you will see a difference depending on the view or the amenities in the apartment. But an 800 square foot apartment on any place in the building is going to cost you the same monthly fee. I do have a virtual apartment tour for you now, showing apartment 520. So we'll go ahead and show that, and then I'm going to talk a little bit more about cost and the advantages of Aljoya. I am back and I hope turn off our music.
Sorry about that.
So I want to talk a little bit about one of the questions that came in, and we actually have a slide for that. And it asks, what is the main difference between an entrance fee community and a month-to-month community? And why should we choose Aljoya over other entrance fee communities? So I want to talk a little bit about our entrance fee first. We are 80% refundable on that entrance fee. And that's right up through end of life. You've signed a contract for 80%. It does not change from that. So even if we went to less of a return for future people that move in, you would be at 80% based upon your contract. We have extensive dining menus compared to a month-to-month community. As I mentioned before, we have fresh fish, and our residents have a choice of a special every evening, plus a full restaurant menu. So there are probably a dozen or more entree choices. There are appetizers, soup, salads, dessert by our own in-house baker. So the menu is much more extensive than you would find in a month-to-month community. There's also the annual tax deduction I spoke of. When you move to an entrance fee community, each year we send you a letter that you can take to your tax accountant or when you're doing your own taxes. That is a percentage that you can take against your medical tax deduction. So for instance, over the last few years, that percentage has been somewhere around 35%. Which means if you have a $5,000 a month apartment, you can take 35% of that for the whole year. So if you've paid $60,000 in monthly fees, you can take 35% of that $60,000 in a medical tax deduction. You cannot take that off your rent in a month-to-month community because it's only a tax break for those who have paid an entrance fee. If you are availing yourself of assisted living with us, that's 100% deductible as a medical tax deduction. But you can take a percentage off of a monthly fee when you pay an entrance fee as well. We also have heating and air conditioning controlled by you, the resident, in your apartment. So each person can set their apartment home comfortable to what they prefer. None of our month-to-month communities or any month-to-month communities I know in the Seattle area have air conditioning in every apartment. Even our smallest apartment is air conditioned. You'll find some communities that might have their top floor air conditioned, or they might have penthouse big apartments air conditioned. But oftentimes you'll see that they are just an air conditioner put through the wall that vents to the outside. Ours are centrally done, and so every apartment can keep their own heating and air conditioning controlled. We also are a steel and concrete building, which is very quiet. Our neighbors do not hear each other. They don't hear people above them because there's no wood for that sound to travel through. We have a higher level of staffing for care than a month-to-month community would have. Our number of staff on per resident daily is higher than you would find in a month-to-month community. We also, compared to most other continuing care retirement communities, do not have an additional entrance fee for a second occupant. Whatever the entrance fee is for that apartment home, there is that one entrance fee that's 80% refundable. If you're out and about shopping, you'll want to ask other continuing care retirement communities, what is that second occupant fee if there is one? And is it refundable? Because generally it is non-refundable on the second person. So it's important to do some good comparative shopping. So I hope that that answers some of your question that we got about what's the difference between an entrance fee community and a month-to-month community. Now there's a difference in your monthly fee as well. So I want to speak to that, and I'll get to that in a later slide for you. Included in your monthly fee here, as I said, you'll see weekly housekeeping. We provide the sheets and towels, the big pieces, so that you only have to do your own personals in your washer and dryer in your apartment home. It's another benefit that every apartment home has its own washer and dryer. In many month-to-month communities, they are shared on the floor. They're not in each individual apartment. You do have 25 credits for meals and 3 meals a day for assisted living. We do, as I said, personal transportation free from anywhere to Bellevue to downtown Seattle. And we do cable TV and internet access because each apartment is actually set up for wireless internet access, which comes in your monthly fee. It's already provided. You do get a small storage locker as well. I talked about the air conditioning. We have a tremendous amount of life enrichment activities, and you can get a personal help button if you like to wear, so that if you fell in your apartment, you wouldn't have to get to a button on the wall. You could just press the button on your wrist. And that's included in your monthly fee. We do not charge for that. What's not included is if you bring a car, there is a $150 charge for a parking place monthly, and you have to pay for your own telephone. But pretty much everything else is included in your monthly fee. If you do sign on for assisted living services, those are separate from your monthly fee. So there is additional, because again, we don't like to combine services that not everyone is using. So you only pay for the assisted living services for yourself. You're not helping support anyone else if you're independent. So let me talk a little bit about the cost comparison for the difference between a monthly retirement community and Aljoya Mercer Island. This is an apartment that we have 2 plans here, and they're very similar in square footage, just around 960 square feet. On the left, you see that 960 square foot, 2-bedroom, 2-bath is going to be $8,000 a month. Our 960 square feet is only just a little over $5,000. So the difference monthly of $3,000 is money that you keep in your own bank account. You are not paying it out in a rent to us. It is kept by you. It's an added benefit of choosing to pay an entrance fee. The monthly fee is less. If you look at a very large apartment, the monthly fee you can see in a month-to-month community for a 2,000 square foot apartment is of almost $14,000, where our 2,000 square foot apartment is just a little over $8,000. So when you see that difference of $5,000 to $6,000 a month times 12, and if you plan on living with us for 5 or 10 years, you can see where that adds up very quickly to a savings for you. For any of our residents, when you choose Aljoya over a month-to-month community, you will be paying a lower monthly fee for the same square footage. So that's probably the biggest advantage between that and the medical tax deduction that you would reap the benefits of paying an entrance fee. So I'd like to also answer a few more questions that had come up. One person had asked, what could we offer about Mercer Island as opposed to living in downtown Seattle or downtown Bellevue? So I have to tell you that one of our most favorite things that we hear from our residents is that you can walk right out our door and be onto the beautiful park lid of Mercer Island, or in our gardens if you don't want to go far, and you're surrounded by those beautiful green trees, plants, smooth, comfortable walking paths, pretty much on a level area. So the benefit of being on the island, as many islanders will tell you, is so great as opposed to being in a downtown setting. The downtown's exciting, sometimes too exciting. We're happy to drive you to a restaurant downtown. We're happy to take you to the museums, take you to the theater when it's up and running again. But you get to come home to a very relaxing pastoral background of Mercer Island. So I think that one of the nicest things that you'll hear from our residents is how quiet, beautiful, calm Mercer Island is. Yet it still has some great restaurants right in the neighborhood. There are vets for people that bring their pets just behind us. There are salons. There's a library. Mercer Island pretty much has everything a small town should and would have, including doctors and dentists also. So you can have what you need at your fingertips, grocery shopping. A metropolitan market just opened up the street from us, and the QFCs, of course. So there's really not any reason to leave the island unless you'd like a ride downtown, as I said, to a museum or to see the theater. So I hope that answered that question. If you have any other questions, please feel free to type them in now if you'd like into your chat. I think I've answered what people asked prior to us getting on. I know that Larry is excited about giving you all a call following this Zoom in case you have questions that come up later. We know that sometimes after we're done with this presentation, other questions might arise. So you can expect a call from Larry where he just checks in with you and sees if you have any questions that we might answer. I really do want to encourage you to come and take a look at some of the apartments that we have available currently. Many people have said like, oh, I'd rather just stay home. I feel safer at home. I can honestly tell you if you ask our residents, again, they will tell you they feel safe here with all of what we're providing to keep our residents from going out into the general public. The other nice thing is that they're still getting socialization. And I really have to encourage you to think about that, because while you may want to stay home and you can Zoom family members or talk on the phone, it's not quite the same thing as being able to be around people, as I said, with the same interests, likes and dislikes. And we do know that our restaurant is going to open up soon, and it's going to be a great time for you to choose an apartment with us and get moved in so that you can take part in all of the great socialization activities that we have happening. Larry, were there any other questions you'd like me to answer?
I think you covered a lot of it, but you know, I'm available for our potential residents that have come on this screen. I have appointments with them to call them at a later date, or if they have any questions, I can always give us a call. But one thing I like about Mercer Island, Marla, you told a lot of things, but the farmers market is such a great activity, and Marla's been very instrumental in working with the farmers market since we opened. Isn't that right, Marla?
Yes, since they opened. We have been open 12 years this September. The market has been open for 10. And thank you, Larry, because we have been their primary supporter since they opened 10 years ago. They asked us if we would be that platinum supporter, and we have continued every year to do that for them.
So if you have a Sunday available between 10 and 2, There's a food truck, and there's organic vegetables and arts and crafts. It's a fun day to come out and take a look at Mercer Island to see the beauty of it here as well. But also inside and outside Aljoya is still a lovely place as well. So thank
And I was
you.
going to say you could wrap up a trip to the market with a tour of Aljoya because you're on the island to see both.
Yes, I'm here on Sundays too. That's good.
Yes, yes, Larry's here Sundays. I didn't talk about one last thing that I'll throw out there, that generally when we have the Discover in person, people ask about long-term care insurance. And I do want to tell you that many of our residents use long-term care insurance once they go on assisted living services with us. And I'm always happy, even in advance, to help you sit down with your long-term care policy and go through it with you and explain how it would actually jump in and pay for your stays at Aljoya and supplement your monthly fee from your long-term care insurance. So feel free to give me a call also, because I'm happy to do that in advance.
And one last thing on that, Marla, is that when you do come and take a look at Aljoya Mercer Island, Marla always pops her head in. It's just her usual way of doing that, because she's very interested in you and very interested in what you want to see in a retirement community. So she always comes in, sits down and talks, and can answer any questions that you had from this event or long-term care insurance or anything. So thank you all for joining us today. This is such a great event to have you on, and we look forward to speaking with you soon.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.